Like the body undergoes so many changes when a girl gets her menses or her periods. In fact, the body undergoes changes almost 18 months before she gets her periods. We see her body shape change, we see hair growth in areas like pubic areas, areas underarms. In boys also, when their hormones change, we see their voice change. So then whether it is menarche, that is a changing of the hormones to being of a reproductive phase, or it is menopause, which is the reproductive hormones now coming to an end and the person no longer being of a reproductive age, both of them are not a 1 month or a 1 day process. There are a series of changes that happen, and it is during these series of changes that we see a lot of physical changes, health changes. So physical changes both internally and externally that many women undergo. Rather, every woman undergoes some physical change or the other, but for some, in some systems, it is a little too prominent. So we are talking about the post-menopausal hair loss. We could even call it a perimenopausal hair loss now, because we've understood that it's not a 1 day that causes a menopause. It's a whole series of changes that people have. Almost for 18 months there are a lot of body changes, and this continues again for almost a year or two after the person has stopped getting their periods. So what happens after menopause in hair specifically? So we say that as we age, aging begins as early as 25 years is what the textbooks say, but then we have seen people show aging signs, the most subtle or basic aging signs visible even at the age of 30, where we kind of see that the skin looks less firm than it did in its 20s. The hair volume is much lower than it was in its 20s. So in as early as 30 we see that the growth rate is slow, but after menopause the growth rate can be significantly slow, the rejuvenation can be significantly slow, and also naturally after menopause there can be a little more hair loss. So that is what we call as aging, whereas more things are dying and less things are growing back, which is happening to every cell of the body and which is also happening to the hair. So this is something we need to, not really, I wouldn't say accept, but we need to have awareness towards that this is a natural thing that is happening. Like naturally after menopause people are going to put on weight, so that doesn't mean that everybody has to be obese after menopause, but then we have to be aware that this is how the body behaves, and now we have to control our food intake, our exercise, our other things, so that we are able to deal with the changes of the body. So now female pattern baldness is seen in a few women. So if you go back to the chapter where we had understood the male pattern baldness and the female pattern baldness, where there is a frontal thinning and significant some amount of baldness because of this thinning, which is seen in both males and females. We said that it's a lot less in females, but even if it is present in some female, which is genetic in origin, it's her familial or body type to age in this way. For some women the female pattern baldness becomes visible even in their 20s, but for most women it is not so visible. Throughout their reproductive age they may have a little extra hair loss, but they do not see this balding. But post menopause, when the testosterone or the male hormone or the androgens is a little on the higher side, then this female pattern baldness becomes prominent in few women. And lost hair can be difficult to grow. So like we said, there can be two reasons for the menopausal hair loss, or rather three reasons for the menopausal hair loss. One of it is because the body is undergoing some changes and there is a coping mechanism that the person is going through. So naturally there is a slowing down of regrowth, and this is one of the reasons why there is a hair loss. The another reason could be because of the multiple changes that the body is undergoing. The nutritional requirement is different at that point of time, similar to how for a girl who's just getting into her reproductive age, who's just getting her first period, the nutrition is of paramount importance. Similarly, during this phase the nutritional requirements can be a little more demanding, and if not provided the person can lose a lot of hair. And the third one, where we said that because there are more androgens in the body, if there is a predisposition to female pattern hair loss, it gets triggered during menopause. The lost hair becomes very difficult to grow if we do not intervene and treat at the right time, because there is a testosterone component. It must be getting clearer and clearer to you that if there is a testosterone component, this can cause permanent damage to the hair follicles. And if there is permanent damage to the hair follicles to the extent that they are not capable of regeneration with anything, then people have to go for things like transplant. So then timely intervention is very, very necessary. How do we treat it? We need to use androgen reducing medicines. So we have to use something that reduces the androgens. So these are medicines used only under medical supervision. These have to be given to people who have postmenopausal hair loss and where we see thinning, not for all the patients with postmenopausal hair loss, but for patients where we see that it is going into a female pattern hair loss. Otherwise we provide nutritional supplements, but this is not for a short term. So generally I provide, or even the other doctors generally provide nutritional supplements right from the beginning of the perimenopausal time, and they provide it for 2 to 3 years because the body is undergoing so many changes, and the least we can do to support the body is give it enough protein and enough nutritional supplementation. So even if the hair fall comes under control and there are mild to moderate symptoms, even then I think that it's a good idea to load the person on nutritional supplementation and make sure that there is enough amount of protein in the body. Very, very important during the menopausal phase, because certain changes which happen in the menopausal phase are irreversible. So stress management, again, whenever there is so much of hormonal change in the body, so our moods are also controlled by our hormones. So when there is a lot of hormonal change in the body, people do get moody, they have a lot of mood swings, they are not able to cope with the regular things that they used to cope with before, and that causes a lot of stress. So some kind of de-stressing activities or stress management activities, or being more understanding to people who are going through menopausal or perimenopausal hair loss also becomes important. So I think as we are going ahead, we started with understanding the common reasons for hair loss, and then it seemed quite interesting, but as we go deeper and deeper, we know that there are subtle differences, but these subtle differences need to be understood to make an effective treatment. Also we are understanding that everything, though it is specific to the cause of the hair loss, but then hair loss is so multifactorial that a little of everything needs to be balanced to really get the good results. And we are also understanding that this is not a quick fix at all. In fact, it's a long game. So one has to pamper themselves or nourish themselves or invest in themselves for months to come to get the results that some people are really getting and are very happy with the whole journey. But then it's like a long-term investment. There is no quick fix. In fact, I just want to make you aware that yes, in most cases people do see some kind of improvement in 6 weeks, but in some of the cases it can take 3 to 4 months for the person to see improvement, especially if there are certain uncontrollable factors like a hormonal swing, hormonal imbalance, or extreme stress, which is the underlying cause, which it is not even able to be controlled by doctors, because it's not a very good idea to give a hormonal tablet at the first outset, or to give a tablet for de-stressing, because that's definitely not a solution. Again, giving a hormonal tablet, one has to think if it's really necessary, if it's just a hormonal rebalancing that's happening in the body. You would agree with me that the best approach is going to be wait and watch and support. So share what's the biggest learning.